Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Frank Analysis. I am your host, Franco. It's been a really long time since we've done one of these live streams, and I'm really happy to be here with you guys. So, a lot of people have been talking about the TikTok ban already, and yes, I purposely misspelled it in the title. Nomin Newton as band, like rock band. I did that on purpose. Just if I were to type in TikTok ban, it's going to be even more suppressed on YouTube than it would be otherwise, since this channel is not monetized. Like I'm shadow banned. You know how YouTube is controlled by the U.S. Silicon Valley algorithm and all that. So that's why I typed it like that. Um, so we're gonna talk more about the TikTok ban. What exactly does this mean for us? Right? Is this going to negatively affect everybody at the end of the day? The elites are obviously desperate. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard takes from multiple people about how this is pretty much censorship of information. But will we still continue to grow in awareness even if this ban happens? I personally think that a ban will not happen. And I'll tell you guys more about what my thoughts are on what I think might happen. And I think that what will most likely happen is that uh, TikTok might be bought off by another company. But I mean, I could be wrong. That's just a prediction. So let's take a look. For people who don't know, let me share my screen real quick. All right. So the House passed a bill that could lead to a TikTok ban if the Chinese owner refuses to sell. All right. So they want the Chinese owner to sell it to pretty much a US corporation, a corporation that the US will have more control over, so that then it can become more like YouTube, more like Twitter, where they have more control over the algorithm. Things used to be a lot different on YouTube. But once people started picking up steam, when they were spreading awareness about the truth of what's going on in the world, talking about the corruption in the United States and all that, corporations, the owners of this country, the elite, they wanted to take advantage of that. And that's when like adpocalypse happened. That's when you started seeing way more ads on YouTube. People were getting shadow banned unless they had a YouTube contract, unless they, let me put it this way, pretty much. All right, on YouTube, it's pretty much it's almost impossible to grow your channel if you're gonna make it about politics. If you're talking about something that's not really threatening to the establishment, like if you're talking about like entertainment and you have the resources, you have the charisma, you have like a mic and everything, a whole setup, and you're really knowledgeable on the topic. Like, let's say, for example, you want to talk about movies or you want to talk about comic book movies. If you have the resources available, if you're good at video editing and all that, your channel can grow, but it's still not going to be as big as those established corporate owned channels out there, right? Like um what are like IGN, for example, is going to be bigger than a single YouTuber that's talking about comic book movies. But when it comes to like political channels, right, and all that, the only way that your channel is going to grow in a significant way is if you're making drama type content. So that's one way. The second way would be if you're kissing another established content creator's butt, and then constantly defending them prior to the YouTube adpocalypse. So before 2016, long before 2016, that's when we had it was easier to grow your channel. There wasn't that many content creators out there, right? That's how people like Kyle Kalinske got his start. That's when Shoe on Head, Humanist Report, David Pakman, all those people. That's how they all grew their channels, is because they were around before the apocalypse. That's why they have such a huge audience now. And then there's those like on the right. Some of them on the right then got bought off by corporations and stuff. Like Ben Shapiro has funders. What I forget some of their names. The guy who they would make memes of having like a little face, Charlie Kirk. Oh yeah, that's his name. Yeah. So YouTube funds some of these content creators, or not just YouTube, but like there's other corporations out there. Like if they're saying things that are beneficial for capitalism and all that, they're going to fund them. Mariana, yes, good call about Singaporean. Like there's a whole thing going around about how the CEO was not Chinese, that he's a citizen of Singapore. I was just reading off of what the AP wrote on their title. But yeah, good call, Mariana. Anyway, so first way, make drama type content. Second way, kiss another established content creator's butt, defend them constantly. The third way is if you get a contract with YouTube, but that's after you started making more video, after you became bigger off of what, like making drama type content or kissing another established content creators. But after your channel grew a bit more, you can get a contract with YouTube if you apply, if you are not saying anything that goes against their terms and regulations, then they'll work with you and give you a contract, and then your channel will grow. So pretty much becoming a sellout. The fourth way, you're posting videos that are not threatening to the establishment, right? You're posting things that are supporting corporations, supporting the U.S. government and all that. The fifth way is if you're helping to confine people into a niche circle or into an echo chamber that then keeps people ignorant. All right, so the Andrew Tates of the world, all these streamers now that are on, what's that one site? I forgot the name of that one streaming site that a lot of people hopped on, but there's streamers on YouTube too. But you know, like iShowSpeed isn't really posting anything that's like threatening to the establishment. But if you are posting stuff that's like offering fake solutions, like, yeah, this is why we should vote for Democrats, or you're only talking about how bad the Democrats are, but not talking about how bad the Republicans are, or vice versa. You're only talking about how bad the Republicans are, but not how bad the Democrats are. If you're confining people into a niche circle or echo chamber, then your channel can grow that way. And then the sixth and final way that I have listed here of how your channel can grow is if you have backing from the US government, because you probably are a Fed. All right. And yeah, I mean, those are pretty much ways that you can grow. And if TikTok is bought off by like a US corporation, then that's pretty much what it'll become. It'll become like YouTube. All right. So let's read a little bit more on here on what is going on in Washington. So the House, they passed a bill that would lead to a nationwide ban of popular video app TikTok. So in the bill also, it wasn't just about TikTok, but pretty much if any website is deemed as dangerous, then they would ban that as well. All right. And then they're making the case that the US Congress is making the case that, oh, we're doing this to protect people's information. Like, we don't want people's data and information to be sold to the Chinese government, to the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP is what they always say. Right? We're the only ones that can sell your information. Like, it's pretty much what the US is saying. President Joe Biden said if Congress passes the measure, he will sign it. All right, so this still hasn't gone on to the Senate. But yeah, let's see. Overall, 197 Republican lawmakers voted for the measure. 15 voted against it. On the Democratic side, 155 voted for the bill and 50 against it. All right, they're making the case that this is about national security and all that. So here is a tweet I want to point out. All right, so Whitney Webb brings up Steve Mnuchin. She says, I also think, so if you don't know Whitney Webb, she is the the editor of Unlimited Hangout. Right, she's done a lot of great work exposing corporations, exposing billionaires, and what do you call it? Exposing powerful people that have a lot of influence on what happens in our country. So she says, I also think one of the reasons Steve Mnuchin wants to buy TikTok, so she thinks that Steve Mnuchin wants to buy TikTok, is part of the broader effort to turn social media sites into banks. Musk bought Twitter for that purpose. Facebook tried via Libra/Diem. Latin America's Facebook equivalent was bought by a crypto company, etc. The worst thing you can do if you care about financial freedom is use any of these coming social media/bank hybrids for your finances at all. It is the globalization of the WeChat model and will eventually require digital ID and financial reward/punish based on your speech. So I'm going to ask you guys, do you guys all know what WeChat is? If not, I can pull it up real quick to explain what that is. But just in summary here, this is a Chinese instant messaging, social media, and mobile payment app developed by Tencent. Tencent has control over a lot of things, but pretty much it compiles all of the Chinese people's apps together. First released in 2011, it became the world's largest standalone mobile app in 2018 with over 1 billion monthly active users. WeChat has been described as China's app for everything and a super app because of its wide range of functions. WeChat provides text messaging, hold-to-talk voice messaging, broadcast one-to-many messaging, video conferencing, video games, mobile payment, sharing of photographs and videos, and location sharing. All right. And then there's like, if you want to read up more on it, I know Wikipedia censors stuff. We've talked about this on this channel. So I would say read a lot of this, but don't just stop at Wikipedia. Look further into it on yourself, doing your own research. All right. And then I have this up here in case people don't know who Steve Mnuchin is. But he's pretty much an investment banker, as is written here. He was the Secretary of the Treasury for the United States, part of Donald Trump's cabinet from 2017 to 2021. All right, so nothing really new for a lot of you guys, I assume, since a lot of you guys know that in the United States, like people who are part of the president's cabinets, there's a revolving door between the private sector and the public sector. This guy was part of the public sector during Donald Trump's administration. And if he buys off TikTok, then he's working in the private sector as well. Fascism at its finest, guys. And then taking your information, like surveillance, all of that is nothing new from what the US already does to us, right? This is like no secret. That's why people are calling out the US's hypocrisy all over TikTok. I don't really follow YouTube as much anymore, but I imagine there's a lot of people that are also calling this out, hopefully. But in case you didn't know, and there's a lot of people that don't know, Facebook had its origins in the military sector. All right. DARPA run surveillance program is what Facebook's origin was all about. All right, and there's a whole article here that I'm showing you guys, and I can link that for you guys in the chat. All right, we've talked about that a little bit more in depth a couple of years ago already. If this was in 2021, back in April 2021, or around that time, I believe is when I talked about this on my channel. But they want to do this with TikTok. Like they already have surveillance over us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, which if you ask me, Twitter is even worse now than it used to be. Right? The only way that you can get exposure on Twitter now is if you buy a blue check. Even if you buy a blue check, there's some limitations. Like if you're saying some things that are against U.S. corporations, anything that can be threatening to U.S. corporations, you can get like a semi-shadow ban. All right, people like Ryan Christian of The Last American Vagabond have talked about that. People who have blue check marks, who are in the political space of informing people, have talked about how they have a semi-shadow ban despite having that blue check mark. There's still people that get their accounts removed off of Twitter. But if you don't have a blue check mark, like good luck getting your voice heard if you already weren't big already, if you already didn't have a huge following. Like I myself didn't buy a blue check mark, and I never will. And so be it. Right? Like some things that I learned since 2020 is that it shouldn't be about me trying to chase an audience. And I'm going to come back to some videos that I want to show you guys, but it shouldn't be about me. Or if you genuinely care about people becoming more aware about what's happening in the world, you shouldn't be the one that tries to chase an audience. Like if you're trying to chase an audience, like you're trying to capture people that are already followers of like another channel, like I was mentioning earlier. Like if you're going to be like constantly defending somebody else or just repeating what they say, it shouldn't be about chasing. And in 2020, I thought that I needed to chase after like an audience. Of course, I did care about people becoming more informed and all that. Like I've always felt I was genuine about that. But it should be more about an audience finding me, because there's going to be people out there that are going to be saying the wrong information, people with bigger platforms. And as far as I can see, everybody in the indie media space that has a huge platform has their limitations. They're wrong about, they're going to be wrong about, if not a little bit of things, they're wrong about a lot of things. All right, offering fake solutions, like proposing that we should vote for Democrats or proposing that we should vote for Republicans, or not offering any solutions at all. Or saying that, I've talked in this channel about how third parties are limited, how they're corrupted. So I'm not going to go too much in depth here on this channel. But I would like if me having to have the audience find me rather than me have to chase an audience, if that means me having a small audience, then so be it. Like in some cases that may be like a good thing. I would much rather have a small channel where everything is peaceful than a big one that has people worshiping me or watching my every move. It keeps me more grounded. Like I don't want to be worshipped. I would rather have this small channel that can sometimes talk about things that other people aren't talking about. That's bringing together concepts not just from like the political space, but also talking about spirituality. But yeah, let's go. I have some videos I want to show you guys. Oh, and that's what I was going to get at. So pretty much with TikTok, I haven't seen as much worship of content creators like how I see on YouTube. And I feel like on YouTube, it's done on purpose with the algorithm where you're only seeing that one person and you're not seeing all these smaller content creators. And then the smaller content creators, whether it be like at a subconscious level or a conscious level, they feel like in order to climb up and grow their channel, they have to talk about the bigger channels. And sometimes they're forced to only talk about them because that's like all they see. But with TikTok, you have a variety of just regular people talking about the news, just regular people talking about Palestine and talking about methods that you can support Palestine. And a lot of those methods have been working. Like the stocks for Starbucks are down, same with McDonald's. And there's not that US corporate censorship about that topic, like how there is on YouTube or on Twitter. That's really what it's about. It's because people are not falling for that propaganda anymore, that pro-Israel propaganda. There is an overwhelming support for Palestine on TikTok that you don't see in mainstream TV or see in mainstream YouTube. So that's mainly what it's about. All right, they don't want you to keep growing in awareness. They want you to only be listening to these big content creators on YouTube to confine you in those echo chambers. All right, but on TikTok, like I was mentioning, you have more variety of just regular people. All right, I have a couple of TikTok videos to show you guys, but this is like if you don't use TikTok, like this is the kind of stuff I come across. I come across a lot of funny stuff too. Like, it's not all just political stuff and all that. Like, you can have fun on TikTok. Of course, it's not going to be a perfect app. Like, I'm not going to be trustworthy of CEOs, of billionaires, and all that. But as far as how it's been used as a tool to raise awareness, it's similar in a way like how YouTube before the adpocalypse was being used as a tool to raise awareness about what was happening in US politics during the 2016 era. All right. Can you guys hear that? Can you hear that? Let me know if you guys can hear that in the chat. Let me know. Because I was playing some of it. Nope. All right. So what I'm gonna do is share it a different way. I apologize, guys, but please bear with me. What about now?
So you and I both know that this TikTok ban isn't about China, right? It's all about Palestine. And this is a sign of a much larger shift that's happening in the US right now. And that shift essentially is a shift from a centralized world where information comes from up top to a
What about now? Can you guys hear that? Oh, awesome.
decentralized world where information comes from each other. And that is a terrifying change for the US empire. I mean, just listen to this clip from Representative Gallagher, who's a sponsor from this bill, where he gives a reason for why TikTok needs to be banned.
Foreign adversary control of what is becoming the dominant news platform for Americans under 30.
See, that's a really interesting quote. The main news source of those of us under 30. But why would that matter so much to Representative Gallagher? Oh, yeah, it's because he's taken thousands from AIPAC and he's complicit in a genocide being live streamed on this app. From day one of this conflict, Israel has lost the InfoWars because of apps like this. Statistics show that pro-Palestinian content is viewed 5 times more than pro-Israeli content. And Israel is very well aware of this discrepancy. And it's not because we're anti-Semitic or that we're agents of China. It's just because we have human consciousnesses and we're not getting our information through the traditional ways anymore. Like for decades, I could count on 2 hands the number of white men that controlled the information landscape in the US. But TikTok has become the exception to that, and that lack of control is terrifying. In order for propaganda to be truly effective, it needs to be generational. And what that means is you spread propaganda to the current generation. Those ideas get imbued into their head and then passed down to their kids in the next generation. And then those ideas are further reinforced by the media that the next generation consumes. So through this process, you can generationally propagandize an entire population until the views and the positions of the government become the default truth. But now we're entering a world where the information doesn't come from up top. It doesn't come from institutions like the government or the newspapers. It comes from each other. It comes from our phones, just literally recording what's happening on the ground and showing each other.
Yeah, so I'm just going to comment a couple of things here. He's spot on right there. Like, it's not just coming from up top. Like, it's not just coming from these mainstream channels, like how we were seeing with YouTube, right? For like a couple of years now, we're seeing that with YouTube. From up top with these mainstream channels, they were getting their information directly from the owners, which are billionaires, from the US government. It's pretty much corporate news. US corporate news is pretty much US state news. But with this app, just like how YouTube was used as a tool for spreading information, TikTok was also being used as a tool to spread information. The difference and why TikTok may be in some ways better than YouTube, and I'm talking about the YouTube pre-adpocalypse, is that the control from the US government for the algorithm isn't there, but also you get to hear a variety of sources. You're not just hearing from the big channels on YouTube, which is what most people find. In order to find those smaller channels, it's like you have to do a lot of digging. If you were to search up Frank Analysis or some of these other small channels that talk about politics, it's almost impossible to find unless, as I mentioned earlier, they're talking about some kind of drama within the indie media space, or they're talking about bigger channels out there. But like we're seeing with TikTok, a bunch of regular people, you're hearing from all of them. You get a diversity of sources of information. Not everybody, since it's not just a circle of echo chamber, like it's not a echo chamber, like how we see with YouTube, where all these content creators, a lot of them know each other, just repeating off of one another. And if you're not repeating what the biggest content creators are saying, then you get backlash from people, and all that. That isn't to say that you might get some backlash on TikTok, but the people that are not huge followers of content creators are constantly getting new information from a variety of sources, from so many different people.
And that breaks the generational propaganda chain. And that is a huge amount of power for the US empire to lose. And they will do everything they can to maintain control. So this is just the first step. This is just the first attempt at maintaining control of their information landscape. Expect to see much more bullshit in the coming months and years as they try to get a handle on this and adapt to what this new world is going to look like. So what can you do about this right now? In my link tree, I have a link to all the congressional candidates that are running this year, which is
all right. See, this is where I was getting at. This is what so what you just saw, like a lot of, like a very sound argument, very logical and all that. But as you should do with everybody you come across, is you shouldn't adopt everything that they say. Take the bits of pieces that you know are true. And also, like, if you know they're true or whatever, you're validating them through more evidence. But here he's proposing like voting for better politicians. With the knowledge that some of you guys have, with the knowledge that I would have, I know that our electoral system doesn't work for us. I know that our electoral system is corrupted, that it's controlled by these corporations. So that's not a real solution. That's how we should be thinking when we come across people talking about these topics, is you take the pieces that are true and all that, and then the other stuff, you're just like, you're critical. You're like, okay, I mean, but that's not like a real solution there. Like we can't vote our way out of this. Our politicians are bought off and all that. Even the ones that pretend to be like they're not bought off, like AOC and all those people, they are going to do the bidding of what the US government wants or what these corporations want. All right.
150 seats are open. Find your state, go to your district, and find the representatives that are running for seats, and find the ones who will actually represent your views and vote for them.
Yeah, and like politicians can say one thing when they're running, but then when they actually get into office, they're going to do something else. All right. So that's how you should be. Critical. Everybody you listen to, including me, be critical. And don't be stubborn. You could be wrong about the ways that you're thinking. Right? Always be open to the idea that you could be wrong. I was wrong when I first started, like back in 2020. I thought that voting for Bernie or voting for Tulsi was a solution. But as I did more research, as I became more aware, as I became more open, I realized that that's not a real solution, right? That Bernie Sanders and Tulsi were just like every other politician, pretty much. All right, let me share another video. The next one. So here's another perspective from somebody on TikTok. All right, here we go.
Let's talk about the TikTok ban. I'm going to say something controversial, and your cognitive dissonance will deactivate your critical thinking the moment that you feel triggered. I'm not trying to offend you, but if you find yourself upset, self-reflect. I saw something from Cat Williams talking about a liar knows the lie that they told. If they hide something on their left, they're going to keep looking at their left, even if they told you that it was on the right. And then he went on to say, Black people have forgotten their identity.
One second. I just wanted to address this. Agreed, Franco. Tulsi sold out for Zionism and Bitcoin. I'll never forget how Tulsi doubled down on her stance in 2023. So as time passes on, you learn more about people. You learn more about people who you thought were genuine, or who you thought were genuine, who you thought were the solution. You learn more about solutions or ideas that you think are going to be solutions. And then you reassess what the best thing to do is, right? Like a lot of us didn't know Tulsi was such a big supporter of Zionism, pretty much a supporter of Israel. It was there, like there was information out there, but a lot of us weren't looking in those directions. A lot of people were paying more attention to the good things that she was doing, like focusing on her stance on environmentalism, or how she was calling out Kamala Harris and calling out Hillary Clinton and all that, that we had our blinders on. But as time passes on, we allowed ourselves to be open, and more information came out about Tulsi, as well as us becoming aware about older information that was out there. And we reevaluated, and then we saw that, you know, supporting her or other politicians is not the solution. But yeah, nice one, Golden Monarch.
White people have not forgotten Black people's identity. This is why we're always under attack. TikTok. Why is TikTok always under attack? I keep seeing videos on it, and people are talking about, because we're realizing we're in an oppressive regime and we're fighting back against our government because we hate them and we support Palestine. That's the tip of the fucking iceberg. I've been talking about banning TikTok, but this time they're not bluffing, and I wanted to know what was different. And I think it's because we did something that actually worked this time. Think about Starbucks, think about Kellogg, think about the fact that there's a list going around for how many other companies we plan on hitting. Instead of trying to eat the rich, we starve the rich. Y'all have to remember our government is like NASCAR. Congress, your representatives, your senators, the people that you think are working for you, they are bought and they're paid for. They're like the drivers and the cars. They have 1 to 2 major sponsors and then 50 to 100 mini tiny sponsors. Not the fact that you're just pissed off with your government. It's the fact that you're pissed off in doing something. They are so used to us being kinked out on our comfort. Most of us are sluts for leisure. You like your AC, you like your internet access, you like social media, and they know this. So they know most people will not ride it on. But we started figuring out ways to put dents in the system, pulling your money from Starbucks, from Kellogg. It does, in fact, do something because they have politicians on payroll. So now they're applying pressure to the politicians, and the politicians are applying pressure to this motherfucking bill. I told you earlier that your government is like NASCAR. So those 50 to 100 stickers that are on there are not just large companies or sponsors that you would recognize, like Kellogg and Starbucks and oil companies, or even these companies that are buying up all the single family homes, even though all of this is fucking connected and planned. No, some of these are small private organizations that you've never heard of, but they're funded by people that you know. And you would go, well, what the fuck are they doing in this? Y'all sometimes forget places like Hollywood. The entertainment industry are also government entities. This is literally their partner in propaganda. Who else is going to be pushing their motives and agendas? Y'all have to start looking a little bit deeper. Everything is about a fucking paper trail. TikTok Shop came through and it started platforming businesses overnight. These same people get platformed overnight have the ability to replace the people that we are destabilizing. And y'all are not putting two and two together. We are starting to form a community for real outside of our government. And they see this and it scares them because how else are they going to keep their lights on in their $1 million homes? Let's talk about
what she said there. We are forming a community that is less dependent on these entities. Of course, this is not going to be an overnight thing. Unfortunately, Zionists own almost everything. But as I was saying, what's in other videos that I've done in the past, talking about solutions, talking about opting out of the system and all that, we figure out more ways in which we can all be less dependent on them, more dependent on each other and on our community. And the more that these people get exposed, then the less people are going to want to give power to them, the less that people are going to be voting for these politicians and thinking that that will be the solution. It's going to take some time. But it's, from what I'm seeing, it's going to be inevitable, because what I'm going to talk about in a little bit, and I have talked about it on this channel before, we have entered the age of Aquarius. I've had, like a while back, I believe it was around November 2020, I had Glory Jones, shout out to Glory Jones, and Nico House on the show. Shout out to him as well. And we talked about what the age of Aquarius means. The age of Aquarius, and I'm going to pull this up. And I'm going to go back to talking about like the TikTok ban and all that, but this is related to what we are seeing here. So the age of Aquarius in astrology, and quick disclaimer, or not really a disclaimer, but for people who are like, what is he doing talking about astrology? I don't believe in astrology. Blah, 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 blah. If you believe in physics, if you are aware of how accurate math is and physics and all that, astrology is about how gravitational pulls, everything has a gravitational pulls. All of us are made out of molecules. All of us are energy. It's about how stars with their gravitational pull have an influence on our molecules, have an influence on how our genetics gets expressed, has an influence on how we feel sometimes, just like how the moon's gravity has an effect on the waves of this planet, on water. This is stuff that our ancestors were in tune with. All right. And then when all these empires took control and all that, they wanted to keep the people dumb, and not in control. They had to keep them ignorant about astrology, keep them ignorant about self-awareness. With astrology, you have more self-awareness. You have an awareness about your weaknesses, personal weaknesses that you might have, times in which you will be more vulnerable. All of this is like, this is a science. They study this in India. They teach this in universities. It's about mathematics. And as time passes on, we'll become more aware about how this stuff works, or rediscover how this stuff works. All right, but yeah. Oh, let me go back to sharing. So prior to the age of Aquarius, so this goes backwards, all right? We were in the age of Pisces. With the age of Pisces, this was more about like listening to authority and all that. But with the age of Aquarius, it's more about questioning authority. It's the age of information. And as I was mentioning, like, this is stuff that our ancestors were aware of. In our government, like our president and all that, they have astrology advisors. Same thing with other countries. They have astrology advisors. So you may not believe in it, but the people in power do believe in it. And they use that to their advantage sometimes when they carry out their plans and their agendas and all that. They discuss with their astrology advisors. But like this stuff, they are afraid of the age of Aquarius. And we are seeing more people becoming aware. Like, you can't deny more people are becoming aware and questioning the US government now, and questioning other governments. And people, a lot of stuff is getting exposed. Celebrities getting exposed. Entertainment industries are getting exposed for their abuse of people, their exploitation, the exploitation of the exploitation that corporations use on people. So let's go back to that. So the age of Aquarius in astrology is either the current or forthcoming astrological age, depending on the method of calculation. Astrologers maintain that an astrological age is a product of the Earth's slow precessional rotation and lasts for 2,160 years on average. So the age of Pisces pretty much started when Jesus was born, because that was about 2,000 years ago. This is talking more about what the age of Aquarius will be like. If you look up, like if you go on TikTok or you do a bit more reading, you'll see more about what the age of Aquarius will look like. But it's pretty much going to be like what I was telling you guys about, like the age of exposure, the age of information, the age of people questioning authority, the age of creativity, right? I'm sure you guys have seen the increase of people talking more about astrology or numerology or human design. A lot of that is because of all the problems in our world and all that, because of the internet and all that, people were able to turn to mental health help. And sometimes they went down the rabbit hole of spirituality. People are becoming more spiritual. People are starting to take better care of their mental health now. People are at the very least becoming more aware of their mental health. So as much as the elites, with their efforts to try to stop this and try to maintain control, all they're doing is just creating scenarios where people become more aware. With this TikTok ban that they're trying to do, or trying to have TikTok be bought off by a corporation, people are exposing that, questioning that, talking about that. Right? This is different from when like even like in 2008 with the financial crisis, there were people protesting and all that, but I don't think there were as many people talking about it or exposing how deep the corruption is as we're seeing now. Oh, I'll keep that one. I was going to share another video, but let me share you this right here. All right.
Mark my words. 2024 will be the death of celebrity worship. Now, I had mentioned in a previous video about us entering the age of Aquarius and what that means for us collectively. Aquarius energy is all about information, and you're going to start seeing a lot of truths get exposed. A lot of darkness is coming to the light. In my previous video, when I was talking about the allegations with Diddy coming out and how it's not going to stop there with him and how there's going to be way more to come, look at what we're dealing with now. What did I say? Now, a whole lot of other names are about to be exposed in connection to Diddy. Epstein's list is about to be revealed, in like a week or two.
When was this?
This is very real.
This is.
I really need every.
Sorry, this is from 2021. So she's talking about the Epstein list and all that. You see how people are like more cautious about celebrities now and all the disgusting things that happen in Hollywood, right? This was inevitable because of the age of Aquarius. But yeah, let's go on.
Everyone to release themselves of the shackles of celebrity worship. These are not good people, and their karma is coming to them because Aquarius energy is Saturn. Saturn is about karma. Hello. So honestly, you should really start emotionally detaching yourselves from a lot of your beloved faves because they're not good people. They are not who they have portrayed to be to the rest of the world. And everything is coming to light now. Also, remember that these people do not care about us, okay? Remember that you guys are the ones in control. You keep them rich. You keep them thriving. Keep all of that in mind when all these names start coming out. Celebrity worship is dead. We are in the age of authenticity now. People want realness. All that fake shit is done, even on social media. So 2024 is going to look real different. So start detaching yourself from now. I know that there's certain names, you say those names and you get canceled because you can't even say nothing about them. But just keep in mind, a lot of your beloved faves, they are not good people. They're not. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. Release it. Release it.
Yeah, she's pretty much saying let go of these people. Like remove your attachment from them. So yeah, Taiji is saying, oh, not this one. John Kemper said that the Diddy thing actually has people I never thought scratching their head finally. Yeah, like we're seeing this at the beginning of 2024. This is her saying this in 2021, talking about what to expect in 2024 because of the age of Aquarius. We're seeing that the Diddy stuff getting exposed. There's going to be more of that. Just this week, on HBO Max, that documentary about what was happening on the set of Nickelodeon, a lot of disturbing things that were happening to the child actors and actresses at Nickelodeon with shows like All That, The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh. It's really sad. But it's finally, a lot of this stuff is being exposed. What else? With Cat Williams, with his interview, how he was calling out and exposing all these entertainers who steal jokes and all that. And calling out Harvey Weinstein and all. He was like, when I was saying this stuff back then, nobody like wanted to believe me. I received a lot of backlash, blah, 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 blah. But with the Me Too movement back, when was that? Like 2017, 2018, I think it was, or 2016, that exposed a lot of sexual abuse happening in the entertainment industry. I remember people would call you a conspiracy theorist when you would talk about like Epstein and all, his connection with Zionists and all that. But now it's becoming common knowledge. People are becoming more aware. The elite try to control that by controlling algorithms and all that. They try to slow it down by confining people in these echo chambers. And it was easier to do when you have just a few big channels out there. Like when you have just what, Geeks and Gamers, Ben Shapiro, Alex Jones, Joe Rogan. Like these are just like the very few big channels. And then they confine people in those echo chambers so that they don't go looking for other voices that are also saying some truths. Like you can find some truths in those channels that I mentioned, but they have their limitations, sometimes huge limitations, like with Ben Shapiro, for example. But yeah, when you diversify your sources, you become more aware. When you read more books and all that, you're diversifying your sources. You're not becoming attached to a single channel, attached to a single personality online, and then you become more aware. So that exposed, like, yeah, the Me Too movement exposed sexual abuse happening in the entertainment industry. Political figures are getting exposed thanks to indie media channels, although they have their limitations, as I've talked about that extensively in past videos. The next step would be to end the worship of these online content creators. All right, understanding their limitations and letting them go, understanding that they get propped up by Silicon Valley algorithms for a reason, and understanding that some of them might be feds. All right, we need to read up on COINTELPRO, how that was used as a tactic to disrupt the Black Panther movement. That never went away. Right? Some of the content creators you guys might be listening to might be controlled opposition. And you can catch on to that by looking at, some of the stuff that they say that's questionable, or some of the people who they associate with that is questionable. All right. Any questions? Let me share one more thing with you guys. All right, I'm not going to watch the entire thing, but I think that this guy that I'm about to show you guys, this individual, Marco J. Williams, talks about spirituality. One second. He's talking about the TikTok ban here, and he's going to say some stuff here that I think you guys should hear. I don't know if I'm going to play the whole thing because it's 46 minutes long, but whenever he says something that I want to elaborate on to you guys, I'll let you guys know.
Greetings. This is my consciousness Q&A, the time where you all have the chance to ask anything about anything.
All right, let me skip a little bit.
Floor open to y'all, especially with us not knowing the terms of what TikTok is going to be in within the next few months. But I can tell you, we already know what's playing out. They're trying to allow certain entities to buy it so that we can no longer spread knowledge. I did a little experiment earlier where I posted the same video that you all seen about this TikTok ban, and I intentionally spelled it banned on Instagram just so it can have traction. And it had traction, but when I posted it the right way on Facebook, where I spelled it ban, the video was suppressed, where it goes viral on TikTok, but every other platform, it's gone. Like no views, no views on YouTube, no views on Facebook. So that just goes to show right there that our freedom of information is about to truly be suppressed. And that's why they don't like the fact that we are gathering. That's why certain lives, there used to be a point in time where if you wanted to share certain information over live, you had to kind of dumb it down. Like we couldn't say COVID. Now we can say COVID because we all seen through those lies. But if those of you who are from my old account, you know that my last account was deleted because I shared the truth about COVID. I worked in the field when COVID first started, and I was seeing how doctors were getting pissed off telling the truth about COVID, and nobody wanted to put that out there because they were afraid to lose their license. So I just know that we are entering this new age of enlightenment where we are all able to.
So I didn't even bring that up in this video, but with COVID, a lot of people started questioning that narrative, right? Tying in with the age of Aquarius, people questioning authority, people becoming more aware. Like I wasn't that informed about Tuskegee or other things that our government had done in the past, or their experimentation that they've done to other people of color in other countries with jabs and all that. And then the heavy censorship that came with that. Right, that just led to more questioning from people. But there was more divide with that topic. But with the Palestine topic, I'm seeing more support and more unity from people. Of course, there's going to be still like there's still some people that are supporting Israel and all that, but they're going to be a thing of the past as more people become aware. Right? They have poor arguments. They're pretty much supporting genocide. They're pretty much taking the same side that people who supported Nazis in World War II took. All right?
Share what's truth. I mean, that's what this Aquarius energy brings, to where we can share everything that's hiding in the dark.
Apologies.
You see all these celebrities, they're getting in trouble, or Hollyweird's getting exposed because we see through the lies of the old age, and we're sick of it. We're sick of these global elites telling us to eat cereal for dinner. You know, you're making billions of dollars and you want to tell us to eat cereal for dinner. That's why the collective came through and boycotted. And you see it's starting to hit their pockets, and their pockets they're the ones who control these politicians. So you got these politicians, like, that's why when you guys talk about, we're about to talk about Ancient Kim. All right. When you guys talk about, I got excited over Egypt now because, yeah, that's my go-to. You know, Eye of Horus. That is my go-to. But getting back to the train of thought with these politicians, like they put us against each other, like have you thinking that you have choice, you have power with your votes, but you don't, and nobody wants to hear that. That's the truth. You have no power. When I say these things, my videos get taken down, but you go vote, you do what makes your heart happy, but in reality, in the grand scheme of things, follow the money. If you follow the money, you will see who really controls the flow of things. You'll see that these big corporations have stock in certain things. And TikTok, I'm sorry, you're about to lose out. And it's unfortunately because we came together on this app. We collectively came together, and you know how many things we have all learned from TikTok? You know, there was once upon a time where your family would be like, oh, don't believe everything you learned on the internet. Well, guess what? We learned a lot on the internet. I learned how to start my own business write a book, do all these incredible things to escape this daggone matrix from TikTok, because it's unfiltered. When you really search, like nobody goes to Google, nobody goes to YouTube to search stuff. We get on TikTok to find what we're looking for, and you're going to find a video that's going to have everything that talks that's in the category of what you're looking for, even if it has like 20 views. But there are some hidden gems on this app where people share information, and you see a lot of people coming at people for like, oh, I guess these content creators, they're finding they got to find a real job. You know what that is? That's internal hate, because you're hating that these people found a different way out of the system. And some of these people are teaching you how to get out of the system. That is what I do. I'm a mindset mentor. If you want to work with me, you can go in the link in my bio and work with me. I have a limitless mindset workshop that teaches you how to remove the limiting beliefs that are holding you back from working your 9-to-5 job. Because there was once a time that I was only making $30,000 a year after taxes. I had to provide a family for that. You can't do that. But I learned how to get out of that system. I removed the limiting beliefs that were in my mind that were stopping me from aligning to the life, because I saw a life of traveling. I saw a life of abundance. I didn't manifest money. I manifested the dream. I saw the dream, and I aligned to that dream. And that's what I teach you all to do, to align to your dreams. And it just really sucks that now you got a lot of creators who are teaching you all how to no longer be workers, but to be thinkers. They don't like that. That's what this is all really about. And don't come for me drinking out of plastic. I've been on a lot of calls earlier today, but it is. Yes, I am living in an RV. My kids and mother and I, we co-parent. So they come and visit and they enjoy this, but it gives me the abundance to travel wherever I want. And I am happy with this minimalistic lifestyle, because when you realize how less is more, and you start pushing away the external validations, the things that you think are going to make you happy, and get out of this constant state of chasing the next goal and learn to enjoy the moment, appreciate where you are right now, your life is going to change. That's the problem with a lot of us. We don't appreciate where we are right now. We don't appreciate this moment. This is the most important moment you have. Everybody who is in your life right now is important. So appreciate them. Appreciate the struggle, because the struggle is how you grow, you know? Yes, loan and mortgage is a trap. That is you know what's crazy? When we went to the bank to get this RV, the RV dealership told us not to tell them that we are going to live in an RV full time, because that pisses the banks off. Apparently, if you tell them that your plan is to live in an RV full time so you don't have to pay a mortgage, yeah, banks don't like that. They want you to be stuck in that lifetime mortgage. The average cost of a house is over $430,000. Now? Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of kids who come out the gate and their parents allotted them the opportunity to save money. I do hear that high frequency ringing. I honestly don't know where it's coming from, so just bear with it. But anyways, a lot of kids have the opportunity for their parents to like let them stay in their house and save money. My parents gave me that opportunity. I moved in with my lady, and then we realized, this isn't the way. This isn't
Right.
the
So
life
he's
that we
pretty
want.
much right now talking about how he opted out of the system, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can like have similar stories to that. But he's connecting this to how people don't want to be dependent over these people that are oppressing us right now. We don't want to be dependent on these elite, and right now they're trying to grasp at their control because they noticed how aware people are becoming and how they use apps like TikTok as a tool, similar to how people would use YouTube as a tool to become more aware. But let me skip over a little bit, because he says a lot of valuable stuff here. Let's see.
Manifestation is stop manifesting money. Manifest the long-term goal.
Right, you're just
Two
talking about
represents balance.
how you can help yourself.
Sylvia,
It's like the
Here's
kind
one
of
thing you need to do before you buy anything on.
that's like the kind of stuff that the kind of material that we need to inform ourselves with is how to help ourselves, how to take better care of our mental health, how to improve our lives. Because if we don't have a clear state of mind, if we're not aware of ourselves, then we are going to fall into traps, whether it be traps in our personal lives where we're like really unhappy, where we're not at peace with ourselves, we have problems with other people in our life, we're surrounded by toxic people and all that. How do you manage that? If you're not managing that, if you're not taking care of that, then you don't have a clear mind to inform other people and to escape the traps at the bigger level, how the elite are trying to trap you and control your life. Right?
22, born on the 22nd. So your birthday.
So here he's talking about numerology. You can look more into that, but it's like, I would say the same thing similar to astrology. It draws from astrology. It helps with you becoming more aware of yourself. Like if you don't believe in it or whatever, at least try to open yourself up and see how accurate numerology is on yourself and all that. Have access to spiritual. I'm just going by what I'm seeing in the subtitles. Okay, here he's talking about the shift in the world. All right.
I'm trying to create a domino effect where we're all teaching the same stuff, where each one teach one. Everything that you learned on this app, you're teaching it in person, where you don't need to scroll no more to find information. You have it in books. You have it in here. I want you all to realize this, because we are the reason that the world is going to shift. It starts with every one of you who is on this live right now. And I wasn't even going to do this live. I was just going to go to bed because I have an early bedtime. But I was going to go to bed and I was just going to just something like my intuition was just like, just get on here and start talking. Start to talk to the people, because there's a message that somebody's going to come across. Yes, tap into the frequency line. I don't know where this high frequency is coming from. There's no open mic. There's nothing else, but there is a frequency that is buzzing, and I have no control over it. But something told me to get on here and talk to y'all, because the message is I want you all to tap into yourself. I think if you don't take anything else from this live tonight, it is to tap into yourself, tap into the frequency line. Everything that is happening is by design. You tap into yourself, you'll have every form of information there is to know. And if you don't think so, that is a limiting belief. But anyways,
Talking about like with meditation,
the world is,
and with more meditation, you can become aware of the collective consciousness. That's going down a rabbit hole. I'm not going to talk too much about it here, but you can all, at least all agree, right, that meditation offers benefits, right? So meditation can help you clear your mind and help you improve your personal life. We can't improve the world if we aren't improving ourselves, if we aren't trying to take care of ourselves, work on ourselves, and be more at peace. But what he is getting at is that he talks about this, I believe, later, but he wants to help increase what I've been saying on this channel for a while also is increase collective consciousness, increase awareness. He wants to help create a domino effect where people are all teaching the same thing about spirituality, because it is the everything pretty much. What else? Trying to figure out, like, you can't get that, like, if YouTube is suppressing information and all that, you can't get to that. You can't get to that mountaintop if YouTube, and now with what they're trying to do with TikTok, if they're confining you in echo chambers, they're limiting your awareness. All right, but when you have that diversity of information, the diversity of voices that you were getting on TikTok, where you have regular people talking about, where you're getting your information bottom up rather than top to bottom, rather than corporations giving you the information. We have people at the bottom, just citizens, giving you the information and all that. We can get to a point where everybody is fully aware about what's going on. And when we're all fully aware about all the issues in the world and all that, when we're all aware about what the best solution is, then we can finally have peace in the world, pretty much. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. We can't, that's what the elite are trying to stop, because they are selfish and they want all this power to themselves, all this happiness just for themselves, while we suffer. All right.
Going to be better. You're right. You're absolutely right. But birth, this is the rebirth of Earth. And when something, those of my women on this live, you know, they are one. Come back. Humanity's not ready for it.
Okay,
Christ is coming back. I believe it's a frequency we're all going to align to. That's what Christ consciousness is. It's where we tap in and raise the planet's vibration. And believe it or not,
raising the planet's vibration means that we're raising the planet's consciousness. We're raising everybody's consciousness, raising everybody to a level of awareness where we all know what's happening in the world, what is wrong with the world. We're so aware that we are all pretty much in agreement about morality.
A lot of people wouldn't recognize Christ if he did come back to this planet. We're still ruled by ego. So if Christ were to come back, humanity's not ready for him, because humanity is still ruled by ego. But that's what I mean by Christ consciousness. When humanity realizes you edged God out of you, ego, and humanity realizes the inner God within them, that's when Christ returns. We raise our vibration, we raise our frequency. We're still ruled by parasites.
Yeah, so he's pretty much saying that right now we're obviously not there yet, because we're not there at the collective consciousness. He was calling it Christ consciousness, where all of us are aware about what's happening in the world. We're not there yet because right now there is so much, there's a lot of people who are letting themselves be controlled by their ego, right? That's why we have, even like some of the informers out there that we have, a lot of people in independent media are controlled by their ego. They put out content for clicks, they put out content for confirmation bias, they get attached to certain solutions that aren't big solutions, that aren't real solutions. Like, they get attached to the idea that Democrats will save us, or that Republicans will save us, or that Russia will save us, or that China will save us. They get attached to this stuff because they are not fully aware of their ego. They're letting their ego control them. But we can get to that level of Christ consciousness, as he was calling it, which is full awareness, if we continue to inform each other about things going on in the world, about spirituality. But again, the elite are trying to stop that from happening. However, it's inevitable that we will get to that point. As I was mentioning with the age of Aquarius, like we're all like, all these people are getting exposed, all these politicians are getting exposed and all that. People are starting to lose trust in them. People are starting to question things more. And that'll ultimately lead to also questioning things about the universe, questioning things within themselves. All right, because I genuinely care about making this world better, which is why I also am not doing this for clicks. I'm not doing this to have like 1 million subscribers or all that. As I was mentioning in the beginning of the video, this isn't me trying to chase an audience. This is about an audience finding me. And again, if that means having a small channel, then so be it. That's more than likely better than having a big channel where you have like people watching your every move and all that. You don't have as much privacy, or you have people worshiping you and all that, or haters bothering you and all that. But yeah, you can take that away, at least from this, is that people are becoming aware. All right, even if they try to take control of TikTok, people are more aware now. People are informing other people. People are starting to become more spiritually aware, and people are reading more books. People are becoming more aware of their history, of the tactics that the US and other entities will use to try to keep us ignorant and easily controlled. All right. So let's keep all being a factor. All right. Let's all be a factor in raising the collective consciousness. All right. I'll leave you guys with that. All right. Stay informed, everybody. See ya.